Oh my God. Hello. 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 Oh my God, it's working. I don't know, just having you answer the phone help. Hello. Hello. Oh boy. Okay. Bye, Toby.
Good luck, everyone.
Bye. Oh my God, guys. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, take a deep breath. Look at you guys. All right. Whoop-de-doo. I'm so sorry. Deep breath. All right, let's get started. So guys, thank you so much for all the nice things you're typing in the chat so that I can answer your questions and focus your questions right now. If you don't mind, I am going to disable the chat, and then we can always turn it on at the end if you have questions that weren't answered. So I am disabling the chat right now, and I'm going to get right to your questions, okay? I hope the lighting's good enough. I can change it if it's not. Okay, so first question. Sorry about that. Boy, that was scary, wasn't it? At least it was for me. Okay. Now, I want to respect your time. I try to keep everything to an hour. I don't think that's going to be possible tonight and get to all the questions. So please know that you can stop watching at any time. This will be in the Member Center probably right away, if not within 24 hours, so that you can always watch it again. And I'll talk as fast as I can without talking so fast like Dr. Furman that you maybe will miss what I'm saying. So I'm sending these in the order they're received, and it's interesting because the first one is a beautiful question because we've gotten so many questions kind of on this topic that I'm thinking of taking a little time at the top of this to talk about this in general. And by the way, because we got off to a weird start with the technology, thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate your patience. So this is a question from Lacey. On the whole food plant-based programs, which one is the closest to what you do? I've known about Dr. McDougall for 20 years and have had some success on and off, but cannot seem to stay compliant. I'm so happy that I know you now, and I'm hoping with this platform I can stay on track long term. Thanks to you and Toby, by the way, I'm learning so much. So there's been a few questions about what to eat, what's the program. So I'm going to answer this question and specifically, and then I'm going to answer it in a broader sense. For those that are saying, well, I don't know what to eat, I don't understand. Now, I don't want you to have to go out and buy my book if you don't have it. But I will say, if you have it, please consider at least reading chapter 2, because that is the program in a nutshell, no pun intended. It explains it very well. If you don't want to do that, then please watch the videos we posted in the Member Center on what to eat, where I explain calorie density, which is the foundation of this program, and by the way, Dr. McDougall's program and Dr. Esselstyn's program, and pretty much all the plant-based programs, at least the ones that are wanting people to lose weight. And then the video by Dr. Lyle on why weighing and measuring really is not necessary, doesn't work, and isn't sustainable. But I'm going to answer Lacey's question directly on how is it different, how is it the same. Now, I have all the books by Dr. McDougall and all the books by Dr. Goldhammer, which goes into this in detail. But what I decided to do, because I don't want people to have to buy books, is to just go on their websites. And I literally printed stuff out about what their diet is from the website. So what the Ultimate Weight Loss Program or diet is, that I didn't create the diet. God, if you believe in God, or nature created the diet. All I did was create a system where I feel I could explain it well to people and support them in doing this dietary style. Because I remember when I first started doing this, people were saying really unkind things about me on the McDougall forums about how this isn't McDougall. Well, it actually is exactly McDougall. It's what we call McDougall maximum weight loss. Dr. McDougall is one of my heroes and mentors, and he's been doing this for over 40 years. He's perhaps best known for one of his sayings, the fat you eat is the fat you wear, which is what this program is based on. His Starch Solution, which is one of his best-selling books, is a more liberal version of UWL. UWL with the screws loosened a little bit, because he allows things like some nuts, some high-fat plant foods, flour, sugar, salt. And it's a beautiful program, and it casts a very wide net, and everyone in the world pretty much would benefit if they would just do that versus the standard American diet or keto or paleo or the carnivore diet, that kind of thing. But there is going to be a subset of people, specifically those who identify with this concept of food addiction, that will fall through the holes of the net with this a little bit more liberal approach and flexibility with the sugar and the salt and the flour. Now, it's no oil. I don't know any plant-based doctor or at least any plant-based medical doctor that promotes oil. I could be wrong, but all the ones I work with, Dr. Campbell, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Bernard, Dr. Furman, I can't think of any of them that advocate eating any oil. So all of the NG2 forks over knives, they're all oil-free programs. So Dr. McDougall's maximum weight loss program dietary style is the same as the ultimate weight loss dietary style. And this is exactly what he wrote about it on his website, which you could go look right now. I copied it word for word. Summer is almost here. If you need a little kickstart or would like to add some meals with low calorie density, try some of our maximum weight loss recipes. Number 1, start each meal with a soup and or salad and or fruit. In UWL, we say with steamed vegetables is fine too, but a soup is basically vegetables and salad is vegetables. So follow the 50-50 plate method for your meals, filling half your plate by visual volume with non-starchy vegetables and 50% by visual volume with minimally processed starches. Choose fruit for dessert, exactly what I say. And if your plate is half vegetables and half starch, it will look like it's the same amount, but the calories are much more dilute in the vegetables. So you could have 100 calories in vegetables and 400 in starch. So this is, like Dr. McDougall's program, a starch-based program by calories, but you will be getting a lot of volume from vegetables, which we'll discuss when we read what's on the page from True North. Greatly reduce or eliminate added sugars and added salts. Well, I don't recommend them at all. So either does he in Maximum Weight Loss, for Maximum Weight Loss, which is why most people that come to me are here for weight loss. This includes gourmet sugars and gourmet salts too. If either is troublesome for you, you can eliminate them. And I would say that for anything, even if it's a healthy, whole, natural food like an avocado. If a food is troublesome, you want to leave it out. When in doubt, leave it out is what I say. Eliminate all animal foods, dairy, meat, eggs, fish, seafood. Exactly the same here. Eliminate all higher fat plant food, i.e. nuts, seeds, avocado, tofu, and soy. Exactly what I've been saying for 7 years. Eliminate any added oil. Number 7, eliminate all high calorie dense foods, including flour products, i.e. bread, bagels, muffins, crackers, dry cereals, cookies, cakes, puffed cereal, air pop popcorn, and dried fruit. These have a caloric density of 1,300 to 1,800 calories per pound. Don't drink your calories. That's what I've been saying, even if it's juice and smoothies, especially from juices and sugar-sweetened beverages, he says. Number 9, follow these principles, eating whenever you are hungry until you are comfortably full. That's what I've been saying. Don't starve yourself. Don't stuff yourself. And number 10, avoid being sedentary and aim for at least 30 minutes of more moderate exercise daily, i.e. brisk walking. I'm a fan of exercise, but what I'm trying to teach people is that it's not necessary to lose weight if you're in a position where you can't exercise. That's not going to be the deal breaker. Any time is a perfect time to add a few more lower calorie dense meals to the table. And again, I literally copied it word for word from Dr. McDougall's website. So, True North website. When you go around and ask what the dietary style recommended by Dr. Goldhammer for the last 32 years, what he eats, what he serves at True North, he says it is a plant-based diet derived exclusively from whole, that's the operative word, whole, not processed, natural foods, and avoid meat, fish, fowl, eggs, and dairy products, as well as added oil, salt, and sugar, and most processed foods. The most effective way to get the proper nutrients without overdoing the calories is to include large quantities of high nutritionally dense and low calorically dense vegetables in your diet. This includes salad greens, lettuce, spinach, sprouts, etc., root vegetables, carrots, beets, jicama, sweet potatoes, white potatoes, dark greens, kale, chard, collards, purslane, cabbage family, broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, green beans, squashes. Most of these can be eaten raw, steamed, or baked. If you're trying to lose weight, these vegetables should be eaten first. Again, that's where I learned it. Vegetables for breakfast. And that's also vegetables for lunch, vegetables for dinner. They serve vegetables for breakfast at the True North Health Center before eating any more concentrated foods. So before you eat your starch, you fill up on your vegetables if you're trying to lose weight. And Dr. McDougall said the same thing by eating a soup or a salad first. In addition to vegetables, you want to include fresh fruit and whole, non-glutinous grains like brown rice, quinoa, millet, or corn. Also, beans, including lentils and peas, may be included. Limit quantities of high-fat vegetable foods, such as nuts and avocado, depending on your goals regarding weight. And then he goes on to say, a vegan diet lacks a significant source of B12. We recommend that all vegans consume 1,000 micrograms per day of vitamin B12 in the form of methylcobalamin in order to ensure that adequate B12 and essential nutrients are present. So from the True North website. So it's exactly in line with it. This is where I learned it. So that is a great question. And what I want you to understand is that you need a little bit of patience if you're new to this. Everything will be revealed. Everything probably is revealed if you take the time to really use the Member Center and use the Knowledge Vault. And I say this with all the love in my heart. Almost every question of the 45 questions or more that I'm going to answer today is in the Knowledge Vault. I went and checked. Actually, one of them, there was 7 answers. One, there was 4, one, there was 3. And so because everybody's new and getting started, it's my pleasure to answer them. But why we created that is so that you would be able to have these answers at your fingertips anytime that you needed them. You know, people keep saying, well, how's this different from Ultimate Weight Loss? Well, I think it's better because I can actually take the time to answer your questions verbally instead of typing one quick sentence. I can really answer them in depth the way I would when I used to do Weight Loss Wednesday or when I speak at conferences or if you are a private client. So that's the difference. And now let me get on to some more of the questions. Okay, let's see. So Lisa says, could I provide a link for the Holland bowl mill and mezzaluna knife? And hopefully one of the moderators will post. And when I get the chat back on, I can post it. But basically, you don't use the W's anymore, supposedly, for links. So it's Holland Bowl Mill, all one word, .com, hollandbowlmill.com/Chef AJ. That's the link if you want the free knife. And make sure you get the engraving because it's absolutely beautiful. And actually today's Weight Loss Wednesday episode, I think is 134. I show you again how to use it. Okay, thank you for that question, Lisa. Vicky says, for brunch, I enjoyed 1 pound of green salad, which I blended into soup, which is perfectly okay to do and great, actually. It takes a lot less time to do it that way. And a 1 pound microwave potato. That's like 2 pounds of healthy food, and I am satiated. My question, am I on the right track, and should I only eat again when I'm hungry? Well, you absolutely are on the right track, Vicky, because that's the foundation of a healthy eating program. And this particular style, it's vegetable, starch, fruit, rinse and repeat. And if you're trying to lose weight, you do it in the particular order of increasing calorie density with the things that are lower in caloric density first to fill up on the vegetables, the fruits, before you do the more satiating but necessary starches. You know, I've spent maybe 10 years now working at True North on and off, and probably two of the most profound things I remember Dr. Goldhammer saying, which really stuck with me, is show me an overweight person and I'll show you someone unwilling to eat enough raw salad and steamed vegetables, and that it is impossible to sustain obesity if you eat enough salad and vegetables. Now, that doesn't mean it's all we eat. One of the most difficult things for many people, especially if they've come from a weighing and measuring program, because not only was their food limited on a weighing and measuring program, but the amount of starch was severely limited to either 0 or maybe 4 ounces a day or meal, is to get people to understand that that is how you get slim, is by eating potatoes, rice, and beans. But you have to eat the fruits and vegetables first to fill up your stomach, which holds about 4 cups of food. And then when you're nice and full on those, then it's like the starch becomes your dessert in a way. So you're doing great. When people are starting out, I don't necessarily worry about this sequencing as much. It's more if people have been doing it a long time and if they're at a plateau. If you really commit to just eating foods to the left of the red line, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and legumes, whenever you want, as often as you want, until comfortably full, but not eating until you're hungry, and avoiding the chemicals like sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt. And I would also recommend recreational drugs like marijuana and tobacco, caffeine, and chocolate also be avoided. If you do that, you have no choice but to lose weight. There is no way you can't. And unless you're just some kind of extraordinary person that can bypass the laws of thermodynamics, it never doesn't work. And when people say it doesn't work, it's interesting because they'll say that to my face right in front of Dr. Goldhammer Lyle, and they'll go to True North, and all of a sudden, everything I'm saying works. It's not that it's a magical vortex. It's that people often underreport what they eat or forget about the restaurant meals or the nightly glass of wine or things like that. So you're absolutely on the right track, Vicki. And my recommendation to everyone in the world, whether they follow this way of eating or not, is to only eat when you're hungry. Could anyone honestly have ever come overweight unless they ate outside of the demands of true hunger. The problem is when you include chemicals like sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, or salt, or eat animal products which have no fiber, you fool your brain's satiety mechanisms. So you can eat a tremendous amount of calories, but feel like you've never eaten because you're never going to be full without the fiber and water that's present exclusively to the foods to the left of the red line. So thank you. Penny, black rice, what is it? It's rice. It's a whole grain, and rice comes in a whole bunch of different colors. There's brown rice, there's red rice, there's white rice, which is, it doesn't come white naturally. It's brown rice, which has been polished and the bran has been removed. But it's just a delicious rice that I use in the beanless bean burgers. You could use another colored rice, but the idea is to create, there's a lot of people that are legume intolerant now with SIBO and IBS. So the idea was to create something that looked and tasted like a bean burger. And by using black rice, it looked exactly like a bean burger. When you put another color rice in, it's still tasty, but it's not black anymore. So I'm wondering if you asked that because of one of the recipes that we recommended last week. Let's see. Oh, actually, no, Lisa was the one that asked about brown rice. Penny is the one that's asking about what can I substitute for bananas. There are many in the recipes and they do not agree with me at all. So actually, they're really only in dessert recipes. So you're never going to find them in savory recipes. And since I don't recommend smoothies, they won't be in smoothie recipes. What you can substitute for them depending on what you're trying to make. So if you're trying to just eat a banana, there really is no substitute for a banana. But the reason I use them in dessert recipes like crème muffins and things like that is because I'm trying to get away from using dates. Dates are often a trigger food for people that are food addicts because they are healthy and a whole natural food with fiber, water, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants, and micronutrients. But they're also 1,300 calories a pound and about 70% sugar, which is still better than eating any other kind of sugar, which is 1,800 calories a pound without the fiber and water and nutrients, but they can be problematic. All the food addiction programs that I know of, and actually, as far as I know, I'm the only one that does it in a plant-based manner. They don't allow dates. They don't allow bananas. They don't allow any of the tropical fruits or even grapes because of the propensity for people that have come from a background of sugar addiction to overeat them. So, and we see a lot of people have problems with bananas in the people that I work with. Now, in baking, I am using them to substitute partly for the oil and partly for the sugar, or what I might have used dates for in the past. So you can substitute applesauce a little bit, but applesauce is not going to be as sweet as the bananas. And so the whole idea of me using bananas was to use very, very ripe bananas so that I wouldn't need any kind of sweetener, including dates. So I would just do another recipe that doesn't have bananas, do the apple pie rice pudding, do the triple apple cake. I'm trying to think what other recipes there are. There's one with pears and sweet potatoes, the caramelized. It's a sweet potato pudding. So a lot of your questions are on what to substitute, and the truth is I make my own recipes up, so I don't have substitutes for my own recipes because it takes me an awful long time to create a recipe that is to my satisfaction and also to pass what I call the Maria test, where I test it on regular people. And I say Maria test very fondly. She was a lovely lady that was the head of the cleaning crew where I lived for many years. And they did not eat vegan. They did not eat whole natural food. And if they liked it, it went in the book. So I would, instead of trying to always think about what you can substitute, why not just find recipes you like that doesn't have that ingredient? It's going to be a lot easier. Okay, on to the questions here. That's my what's that show? Hogan's Hero accent, you know. Valerie, I am making the red lentil chili in my 6-quart Instant Pot. It doesn't specify in the recipe. Well, when I wrote the recipe, that was the only Instant Pot available. They didn't have a 3-quart and they didn't have an 8-quart. Will this wreck my unit? I don't think so. I've been making it in that size for many years. I see that other people have successfully done it in UWL. Is it possible to specify in the recipe if it needs a 6-quart and 8-quart? So, it's not possible to specify, like in my book, a recipe I wrote a long time ago, all the recipes will work in the 6-quart. So I recommend the 8-quart because then you have more room. You know, when you're doing something like the cauliflower bisque in the 6-quart, it will fit. You just have to cut it up. The beauty of doing it in the 8-quart is you leave the cauliflower and the potatoes and the onion whole. When you're doing the black bean mushroom chili, it will fit in the 6-quart, but you're not going to be able to get the pound of corn in. So all these recipes were written before the 8 quart, and it actually was just on sale for a pretty decent price on Amazon Prime, both the Instant Pot one and the Mealthy one. But you absolutely can use that. I mean, going forward, I can certainly specify, but I guess I can't rewrite what I've already written. But know that you are fine doing everything in the 6 quart. Now, they won't fit in the 3 quart. Nothing. I think the only recipe of mine that will fit in the 3 quart is the almost instant apple pie rice pudding, the almost instant Mexicali rice, and the smoky butternut bisque. I think those are the only ones that will fit in the 3 quart. And recipes can be cut in half as well. Okay. Berta says, where are the recipes for the 7 foods you prepared in the video? So the recipes are not written out. And without going into detail, but because I can't, I have some legal action taken against this website that is basically taking original content that has not appeared in my books, that has not appeared on any websites that I created for. I do work with other groups where I have exclusive content, like for example, an example would be like when I did webinars with Gustavo. And so the recipes were never printed on any website. And so this website is making money taking my, and here's the thing, I know you can't copyright a recipe, but you can sure copyright a photo. So they're taking my work, my photos, and my recipes and publicly putting them on these websites. So the reason we're not typing them out and giving them to you, and especially not sharing them in the Facebook group, which, by the way, is for support only, member support. Please, we cannot answer questions in the Facebook group. Then it's not going to be anything new or different. The Facebook group is for you guys to support each other. Hey, look at the steps I got today. Look at the meal I made. It's not for asking questions to me because I'm not there, or to the moderators. But so anyway, if the recipe is typed up on a website like YouTube or Facebook, then I have no grounds against, and I'm trying to shut these people down because they're not just taking all of my original work, but they're doing this to a lot of us. And so hopefully we're going to all band together, myself and all the other chefs. So these recipes are not written out, but you have the videos. And even if you only decide to do the 2-week trial, you get to keep the videos for life. But now you understand why hopefully they're not being written out for you, because if we write them out and we put them on, then now they're going to, and so this is how I'm testing and improving. They're stealing my stuff. So that is why you're not going to see that. And if you watch Weight Loss Wednesday today, you'll see that I verbally said everything that was in the recipe, and I'm not typing it out. Okay, thank you for your understanding in that matter. Bobby, what is wrong with organic low sodium chicken broth as a flavor? You're not consuming the meat or the fat. So one of the things I'd recommend, not that this is a medical question, but a great resource is the website nutritionfacts.org. It's Dr. Greger's website. And there were some videos, and there's a great search bar. You don't have to even watch his videos. Everything has a transcript now about broth and about bone broth and how there's still toxic and metals and all kinds of bad stuff in the broth. So the thing is it's still an animal product, and this is a plant-based program, so I'm never going to recommend it. I'm also never going to recommend a processed food. If you're familiar with my work at all, about 10 years ago, even while I was still overweight, I wrote a book called Unprocessed, because my feeling is we are not meant to eat food in a can, a box, a bottle, or a bag. It's not good for our bodies. It's not good for the environment. And I really don't think it makes much different in recipes, at least not my recipes. I mean, I'm not that I'm tooting my own horn, but most of my recipes, especially if you've neuroadapted to this way of eating, are pretty tasty. And I bet you that if we did side by sides and made it with chicken broth, like the red lentil chili, and made it with water and made it with veggie broth, that the differences would be pretty much indiscernible. When I used to teach cooking, we would do this with oil because people would think, oh, if you don't saute the onion in oil, it's not going to have any flavor. And I would do side by side, one with the onion, if the nutrient-rich black bean soup, sauteed in 4 tablespoons of oil, one not. And then when the people tasted it, either they said that they liked the one without oil better, or they couldn't tell the difference. And so I really don't believe that unless you're drinking it as a beverage, that broth can be very tasty. I drink it every morning as my morning beverage. It's called pot liquor, but I really don't think it makes a difference in at least my recipes or any recipes. So what's wrong with it is there's still anything that was deleterious about consuming chicken, and there's a lot that's wrong with that. And again, I encourage you to go to Dr. Greger's website and read all about what is wrong with poultry. There's still going to be some of that in the broth. So that's that. Linda says, do I eat breakfast before working out? No. And, I know there's probably some people that can eat and then exercise, but when I started my journey, actually, even before I started my ultimate weight loss journey on January 2nd, 2012, I started yoga the August before, August 19th, 2011 is when I started doing yoga. And it just so happened that the yoga class that I was taking every day was 11 a.m., went from 11 a.m. to 12:30. And if I ate even a little piece of fruit, like an apple or a banana, it just felt like a brick was in my stomach. And when we were doing positions like downward dog, I felt like I was going to throw up. And so because of doing that, and I went for 4 years doing that class before the teacher went to another studio, and I just got in the habit of not eating until lunch, which is called intermittent fasting. I didn't know it was a thing, but the truth is I was not hungry anyway, really, in the morning. I was eating out of habit because of what we've been taught. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and which isn't true, by the way. That research was done by the breakfast industry to get people, children specifically, to eat their packaged breakfast cereal. Dr. Morano, Dr. Goldhammer's wife, talked about how in this study where they deemed breakfast is the most important meal of the day, they compared children from homes that were so poor that they didn't even eat dinner to children that ate boxed breakfast cereal for breakfast who did better. So I'm a big fan of eating when hungry. And if you are hungry in the morning, go ahead. But I don't know what kind of exercise or workout you're doing. I mean, some people might be able to go ahead and exercise afterwards, but from what I learned from Robert Cheek is that if your goal is to burn fat, then you don't want to be exercising with any food in you. If you eat food, which is going to be carbohydrate, that's what this diet is, you're going to be burning off the carbohydrate that you just ate. If you don't eat until after you exercise, you're going to be burning the fat, which is what most people that want to lose weight want to do. So obviously, you don't want to feel like you're going to pass out, but I don't eat before I work out ever, because I just can't work out. I mean, it could take a walk, but I'm just not hungry in the morning. And I think the longer you follow a high nutrient diet and I haven't eaten anything non-compliant in like 8 years, there's something about eating this high nutrient way where hunger just is no longer an emergency. You can go a long time without eating because you're nourished. Every cell in your body's nourished, and you're not eating out of reasons for toxic hunger or emotional hunger or hedonic eating. And so, hunger is not a horrible feeling. It can be mildly unpleasant, but I find that the longer I wait to eat, the more I enjoy my food. You don't want to wait so long that you're just so hungry you're going to just like stuff your face. But mild hunger is actually quite pleasant, and hunger is actually the best seasoning. And that's where I got the mantra, if you're not hungry enough to eat vegetables, then you're probably not hungry. And then I've changed it in recent years to, if you're not hungry enough to eat your least favorite vegetable, prepared in your least favorite way, you're probably not hungry. So Nicole says, every morning I chew/drink 16 ounces of celery juice, pulp removed, on an empty stomach. I feel it helps remove toxins, but mostly I take it because it's a natural diuretic to my body, and I can avoid taking a prescription diuretic when I do this. I can only chew a half a pound of greens 3 times a day and a small potato before I'm uncomfortably, I'm guessing, full. Could I chew a pound of greens and 1 serving of fruit for breakfast, an hour for my celery juice as a green smoothie so I can get more greens and less volume? So, I mean, unless somebody has actually had gastric bypass surgery, I'm not sure what the goal is of getting less volume, because the idea of weight loss based on Dr. Ruhl's work, calorie density, is to be able to eat large amounts of food and yet take in fewer calories. So I'm not sure why you are, unless you've had gastric bypass, why you would want to try to decrease the volume, because that is what's going to get you, if your goal is weight loss, you're going to lose weight better if you don't blend your food. Now, if you're using celery juice therapeutically, or for medical reasons, I'm not going to comment on saying that that's bad or wrong, but the most important component in food where health and weight loss is concerned is the part you're throwing away, the pulp and the fiber. Fiber is important to every bodily process. It flushes out toxins and cholesterol and binds to waste material. It tricks the brain into thinking it's full. So I don't know how you're chewing it when you've removed the fiber, because it's basically a liquid. So again, if you have medical reasons you're doing it, it's also, juicing is very, very, very expensive. And I hope that if you're doing this, you're doing organic, because celery, I'm pretty sure, is on the dirty dozen. I know there's a psychic named Anthony William called The Medical Medium that promotes this, and it's the rage now. If it works for you, keep doing it. but you want to chew your food. When your food is blended, even in a quote healthy smoothie, you absorb every single calorie, which is good for somebody that's underweight, like a kid or an old person that you need to get calories in. If you ever took a smoothie, for example, and this is where I learned this at True North, I was having a green smoothie every day for years. I couldn't lose a pound. And Dr. Lyle said, when you go home from True North, I want you to put all the ingredients in your blender for your smoothie. It was spinach and kale and almond milk and blueberries and flax seeds and bananas. He goes, put it in the blender, and then instead of pressing blend, pour it in a bowl and eat it. And I couldn't, because when you blend your food, you artificially reduce the bulk, and so it's easier to consume more. And so if the goal is weight loss, then you don't want to consume more, you want to consume less. Also, chewing the food, and not chewing it after it's been blended, but actually chewing it in its whole food form, you secrete a digestive enzyme called amylase. Digestion first starts with the eyes, by the way. When you see large volumes of food, you know you're going to be satisfied. Then it continues in the mouth. But when you have to chew your food yourself, you burn about like an extra 12.5% more calories. So, I recommend eating your whole food and eating it whole. You don't ever want to be uncomfortably full. You want to be comfortably full. So you eat. When you're full, you stop. And when you're hungry, you eat again. But you just eat the right foods. So, I'm not a fan of smoothies for people that want to lose weight. And I understand, there's always going to be people that can break the rules or color outside the lines and have success. Everybody has that story of their grandmother or great uncle that smoked cigars and ate gin and lived to 105. But in this day and age, it's probably not you. If you're a parent, your kid is probably not going to live as long as you. That's the way it is now. And people can lose weight in all kinds of manners, having smoothies, having, bread and peanut butter. But then they get to a plateau and they've been losing weight, including these richer pleasure trap foods. They never took the time to neuroadapt to the way of eating we recommend. And then it becomes really hard for them because now they're really used to this and they believe in their mind, oh yeah, you can eat nuts and you can eat peanut butter, you can eat bread, you can have smoothies and lose weight. You can lose some weight. I haven't seen the person that really got down to a very slender weight being able to do it, including those things. So that's the problem. We ask you to at least take 21 days and follow the program as designed, not your own interpretation of it. We know it never doesn't work this way. You may not be able to follow it. But the problem with posting your smoothies and your other rich recipes is that other people think that that's them, and it's probably not. The more weight you have to lose, the more discretionary calories you can have. And so it would make sense you can have some of these things and probably still lose weight. But most people especially women, get to a point where smoothies and bread and alcohol and chocolate and nut butters and seeds stop working for them. So I just say you can do it right or you can do it over. If you can find a more flexible program that allows you to lose weight, feel full, and not have cravings, then I really recommend you do it. But the thing is most people that come to me are serial dieters. And that's what I say, instead of keep doing it over, do it right. This will work. You just have to take your time, get used to it, and know that it's not a quick fix. But it never hasn't worked for those that can do it. And not everybody will be able to do it. There's a lot of forces at play, social pressures, something called the ego trap. I do encourage you to watch, it's not watch because it's a, what do you call it? A podcast, episode 161 of Beat Your Genes podcast, where Dr. Lyle talks about why this is such a challenging problem indeed. Rose. My family and I love the cram muffins. My question is, what ingredients could be added or left out using pumpkin? Well, okay, so the question is a little bit confusing because there's no pumpkin in the cram muffin. And again, I said this at the beginning, for my recipes, it's not that I'm like this chef, like you cannot have any substitutions. I don't know what they are because they take so long to come up with a recipe that if I had to figure out what the substitution is, I'd have to spend that many hours figuring that out. And I just don't have time to do that right now. Recipe creation is one of the, I wouldn't say the hardest thing. It's very gratifying. It's fun, but I don't have time to do that right now. And that's why if you're looking for new recipes every week, this may not be the right plan for you because Most people do better by simplifying their meals and not having 7 different breakfasts, 7 different lunches, and 7 different dinners. And are you doing that right now, by the way? Now, if you really want to use pumpkin, what I recommend is, it's not in the member center because it uses dates, but there is a recipe on my YouTube page, and please consider subscribing to it, called Pumpkin Raisin Muffins. And it uses a can of unsweetened pumpkin. I think it's episode 53. I'm not sure. But I don't know how to substitute pumpkin in cran muffins because it's not a pumpkin muffin. It's a carrot cake muffin. Okay, thank you. Linda says, I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. Where should I start? I have food in my refrigerator and freezer that I don't think should be wasted. How do I transition to this new way of eating? What is the simplest but also satisfying way to begin? So there's a few questions in here. Let's talk about the food in the freezer that you don't think should be wasted. So Dr. Goldhammer would say to that, especially if it's unhealthy food like animal products or processed food, better in the trash than your stomach. You are not a human trash can. So if you don't want to, quote, waste it by throwing it out, give it away, donate it, give it to a homeless person, give it to a homeless shelter, give it to a friend, give it to a neighbor. If it's unhealthy, give it to somebody you don't like. But that is not a reason to eat it because you paid for it. It's there. I'm sure somebody will, if it's good, somebody will probably take it or eat it. But that, to me, that's a cop out. If it's not healthy, then it probably should go in the trash and not be given to anybody. But if you really feel strongly that it shouldn't be wasted, donate it to somebody, neighbor, friend, church, homeless shelter, homeless person. So feeling overwhelmed can be very normal anytime you make a change in your life, whether it's a dietary change or any kind of change. And they say that it's easier to change somebody's religion than it is their diet. And I think where you should start is at the beginning, really looking at the videos that we have in the member center so that you understand them, searching as much as the knowledge base as you can. And as far as with the dietary style, start by adding in more healthy food. If you are not able to go 100% right away, instead of kicking the table over, start adding in more healthy meals every day or more healthy items to your meal, particularly starting to eat more fruits and vegetables. There are people that do better kind of leaning in or dipping their toe in, and there are people that do better ripping the Band-Aid off all at once. But if you're somebody that is significantly overweight and have not had much success or long-lasting success, if you're somebody that suffers with food addiction, I don't think leaning in is going to help, because if you're an addict, moderation is probably not going to work. At least it never has for an addiction. So if this was me, I would commit to doing 21 days. And that would mean cleaning your environment of all this stuff and really doing the program as designed for 21 days. Now, the most satisfying way to begin, that's a very difficult question to answer, because I don't know where you are in your journey with eating healthfully, with eating salt and flour and oil and sugar. So for you, it's possible that it may not be satisfying at first. It could take up to 4 months. If you've eaten very badly, you might not like the food right away, especially without the salt. And so to me, the most satisfying way to begin is to eat potatoes. I mean, most people like potatoes or sweet potatoes, and make things like oven roasted French fries if you have an air fryer, or not make them in the oven. I mean, most people, even people that don't eat very healthily, like foods like French fries or sweet potatoes or watermelon. So what I would do is find the foods to the left of the red line that you already like. Corn on the cob right now, it's unbelievable. In the air fryer, even better. Find the foods you already like to the left of the red line and concentrate on eating those first. That to me would be the most satisfying way. It would also be the easiest way. If you want an even easier way, then maybe for a month or two, get Mama Says, the SOS free bundle, Chef AJ bundle, get a food delivery service. That might be the easiest way, and it also might be the most satisfying for you. But I understand the feeling of overwhelm. Just take a deep breath. You've never done a webinar without a screen. That was overwhelming. So, okay, and continue to ask questions and be involved with the weekly things, and educate yourself. Especially, I think for me, hearing Dr. Lyle videos over and over, that's really helped me a lot. And there's probably 30 of them on my YouTube page, and you can find many more of them just on YouTube. Linda, I found this is, by the way, as I mentioned yesterday, I did just kind of an optional hello, just to test the technology, which worked yesterday, but not today. So quite a few of you asked technical support admin questions, I can't answer them because I don't know the answer. And so those need to go to hello@betterlifesummits.com to Toby. Thanks for understanding. This is Deborah, same thing about the Holland Bowl. The name of it is, okay, so the company is Holland Bowl Mill. Holland Bowl, I always mix it up. Holland Bowl Mill. It's Holland Bowl Mill, all one word, /Chef AJ. And it's not exactly a discount code in the traditional sense. It's a free mezzaloon if you use the link to order as opposed to not using that link to order. They do give, I believe, free shipping to anybody with a $75 order, and they don't forget if you do it to get it engraved. The reason I recommend the Holland Mill Bowl is, and this kind of feeds off a question we had earlier with the lady that was having celery juice in the morning and wanting to have smoothies to make the volume less. When it comes to raw salads, foods you're actually eating, not drinking, what's great about the Holland Mill Bowl or any kind of bowl that you're going to chop in, listen, for years I did it in Tupperware and it ruined the Tupperware and it ruined the knife. I didn't know about the Holland Bowl Mill. Is that, and I will do a demonstration of this very soon, and I'll probably do it just to my wider audience because I think it's important for everybody to see this. I get those big either bags from Costco or they're plastic from Sprouts of greens, like they're mixed greens, 16 ounces. I don't know how many cups there are. I'm going to measure it on the air. And then when I use the Holland Bowl Mill, it cuts it down to nothing. So it makes it a lot easier to eat more salads. Even more so, it's just more enjoyable. When you're eating salads, it can be very labor intensive. You get a big piece of a tomato or lettuce and then a small piece of onion, and it makes it homogeneous, and it just makes it delicious, which is probably why, I mean, since I'm a teenager, restaurants for an extra $4 would chop your salad because it takes that much time. And they have a lot of different sizes. I have the 15-inch, but I'll probably be showing you the even bigger one, the 17-inch. If you're one person, you could probably get away with a 12-inch, but if you're making for more than one person, you'll need a 15 or a 17-inch. And if you live anywhere in Michigan, a lot of people are going into the factory in person, getting a tour from Corey, and they're saying it's really cool. Sandra says, okay, and also, by the way, like Sandra, it could be Sandra, it could be Sandra, and there's a question from, it could be Cherie or Sherry. I apologize if I don't say your name right, because there's different pronunciations. Which is more important, eating when hungry or 2 meals a day? I'm not trying to do OMAD. That's OMAD. It stands for 1 meal a day. My pound of raw veggies happens between 12 and 2 p.m., followed potatoes, and I don't get hungry the rest of the day. So again, sometimes I need more information to adequately answer these questions because I don't know how much weight you have to lose. If you have a lot of weight on your body, it's like you have a buffet with you. So you're not going to starve, because that's the whole way you lose weight, is that the body starts eating your own fat. And there's a lot of calories in that fat and a lot of fat in that fat, which is why sometimes when people lose weight, their numbers can sometimes go up because they're cannibalizing their own body. So I don't really recommend 1 meal a day, and either does Dr. Goldhammer, but if that's all you're really hungry for, and you have a significant amount of weight on your body, I don't think it's probably the worst thing in the world short term, as long as you're getting enough calories. We never really want to go under like 1,200. We don't want to count calories, but you really never want to go much lower than 1,200, maybe 1,000 if you're very, very petite. The way you know you're getting enough calories is if you have enough energy to do your activities of daily living. Do you have enough energy to take a walk and to go to work? If not, then maybe you aren't eating enough calories. So as far as what's more important to me, I don't think I don't think you have to have a certain number of meals a day. I do think that one is probably not enough. People that do that often tend to end up binging because they're forcing in so many calories in this very short window of time. I think people should have at least 2, but some people aren't hungry more than 2 times a day. Some people are hungry 6 times a day, and it doesn't really matter as long as you're eating the right food. Now, if you talk to certain people in the plant-based movement, they'll tell you for longevity and other reasons, to sleep, purposes of sleep, narrow the feeding window. For our purposes, we need to really get proficient in eating the right food, whether it's 1 time a day or 8 times a day, because we really need to get comfortable eating this diet, and eventually your body will find its rhythm. How many times a day are you eating now? Like I said earlier, when you're eating this high nutrient diet, you don't have the drive to eat hedonically or have toxic hunger. So you are satisfied with less food and eating less often, because for the first time, your body is being flooded with the nutrients it needs. when you're eating animal products and processed food, which Americans eat over 92% of their calories from, you're eating basically a nutrient deficient and fiberless diet. And the only way to feel full on that is to continually overeat on calories. But when you're eating the right food, your body recognizes this food. You get in touch with your true hunger signals. You have enough volume to adequately activate the stretch receptors, and your body says, oh, I've had enough. And that's what we want each of you to find. And that's why I can't tell you what to eat. I know some of you are frustrated because I'm not telling you exactly what to eat every meal. I mean, if you want, I can tell you what I eat and eat that, but you may not like it. One of the things I never liked about these weighing and measuring programs is that, except for the people that teach them, I don't see it sustainable for the people that go to them. It works in the short term because they're basically calorie restricting. But like, for example, in the Ultimate Weight Loss Program, there's a girl who is 4'10" tall, and she's at her ideal weight of 90 pounds. And I have a private client who's a professional volleyball player, semi-pro, and she's, I think, like 6'2" and like 180, and she's also at her perfect weight. If they had gone to the food addiction or 12-step program, they would be given the exact same meal plan. The fact that one weighs twice as much, they wouldn't take it into account. They'd all get the same amount of food. That's ridiculous. Watch the video with Dr. Lyle. I don't know how much food you need to eat. I don't know how active you are. I don't know what your metabolism is. I don't know how much you exercise. There is no right amount of food to eat per day for anybody. It's variable. It's variable. And so nobody eats unless they're on a weighing and measuring program, nobody eats the exact same amount of food every day. Your body adjusts. It's a perfect computer. It will do that if you give it the right food. If you haven't been able to get a proper weight, it's not because you didn't weigh and measure your food or you ate too many times a day. It's because you were eating the wrong food. When you understand what to eat, it doesn't matter how much or when or why. But you really have to get the food right, and there can't be exceptions like restaurants and special occasions and things like that. Okay. Lanny says, okay, there's two Lannys. It could be Lanny or Lonnie too, Lanny P. of the Bailey socks. Yes, I love those socks. I love them so much that they're hanging in my closet just so I can see them every day. I am never hungry. Well, you can't be never hungry because then you would die. Sorry, I thought there's not a period there. I thought you said I'm never hungry. I'm never hungry until 2. Okay, I stand corrected. Generally, I eat 1 pound of beans and then a sweet potato. But I eat again, when you say 1 pound of beans, do you mean like the legume? You don't eat your vegetables first? And I eat again at 6, even though I'm not hungry because I want to go to bed by 9:30. So I have a huge salad and 1.5 cups of some bean soup or burger. I'm afraid that I'm not getting enough calories. How do I rectify this? I'm just not hungry. Well, I would not force yourself to eat if you're not hungry. So, do you want to lose weight? Because if you are just worried that you're going to lose too much weight, that's another story. So give me more information in your next question, because I hate people to have to log their things in Chronometer or whatever, but if you are not wasting away, then you're getting enough calories, and if you're really worried, instead of eating when you're not hungry, then eat some richer food. This may be a case for adding some nuts to your food so that you can get more calories and more fat. But I wouldn't eat, eating because you're worried you're going to be hungry would be like me right here in 110-degree weather, putting on a coat because I'm worried that it might get cold. It makes no sense. I interviewed an expert in this named Dr. May, I believe was her name. There's no preventative eating. It doesn't work. So if you're not hungry, don't eat. And especially if you're trying to lose weight, then I wouldn't worry about it. The fact that you're not hungry is a good sign, Dr. Furman says. It means your body's getting enough nutrients and it doesn't need to keep eating. But let me know where you are in your weight so that I can better answer that question. Lisa, I have a problem swallowing and have used mayonnaise for years to help, plus love it. Of course you love it. It's high fat, high calorie. We're genetically hardwired to always prefer the most concentrated source of calories for survival. That's normal. I need something thick and creamy without soy as I am allergic. Me too. Would like something without strong taste, like mayo that I can make ahead and keep for a few days. I use mayo just about with every meal. Oil is my hardest to give up. Well, that's because did you watch the calorie density lecture? Because the reason the oil is hard to give up, because truthfully, oil has no taste. It doesn't even taste good. Most people would go bleh if they had plain oil. You need a lot of salt to make oil taste good. But it's 4,000 calories a pound. All fat is 9 calories per gram. And the more calorically concentrated the calories, the more dopamine is released. And so you become addicted to this artificial stimulation of dopamine in the brain. And if you're not doing anything else to feel good in life, like exercising or having regular sex, you're always going to be driven to the most calorically dense food, which you would be anyway, because that's how we're hardwired. So the first thing, if you have swallowing problems, first thing I do is see what you can do to fix that. Have you had a consult with one of the plant-based doctors? All of the plant-based doctors, both the medical doctors and naturopathic doctors at True North, do consults. They're less than $100, and many of them do them by Skype. All of them do them by phone. So I would definitely see a specialist if you have swallowing problems. We don't eat an unhealthy, high-fat food to fix what could be a structural problem. Or there's got to be another answer other than doing that. Now, you say you want something creamy, but really what I'm reading between the lines is you want something really fatty. Now you can get something creamy by pureeing cauliflower, and you can make a mayonnaise out of it. You can make a mayonnaise out of cooked potatoes. There's recipes if you Google them, but they have no fat. And so you'll get the creaminess. White beans, for example, but you're not going to get that hit of dopamine, because if oil is hard for you to give up, it tells me that you really are somebody that likes high fat, high calorie foods, because they're pleasurable because of the amount of dopamine that's being released. So we can definitely get you substitutes, but they may not taste good to you because they're not going to provide that amount of dopamine because of their caloric density to the left of the red line. But I would encourage you, though, to look into getting help for your swallowing problem. Maybe there isn't a program for helping people swallow. I know that I volunteer at a hospital. And so yesterday I spent the whole day at the stroke ward. And one of the things they do is to help people swallow. There is something they put in. It's a mixture. It helps thicken the food. It gives it the texture so that they don't choke because they have some mechanical problems. And so there is something that people with swallowing problems that use. It's a therapeutic thing. That might be something you would look into. But I would definitely, the swallowing, I wonder if that would be under the auspices of a GI doctor, because there are 2 plant-based GI doctors that do consults, Dr. Angie Sadeghi and Dr. Will B. I don't know if that's considered part of the GI or if that would be ENT, but I would definitely consider doing that. And, I'm not sure it's the taste of the mayo and the oil you like. I think you're looking for the caloric density, and I think you're just going to have to take some time to get used to a lower caloric density, and that is very hard for people. That can take 90 to 120 days. For salt, it can take only 30. You never stop liking sugar, but you can get used to that what's called the downregulation of that fat receptor in your mouth. But the only way you do that is by stopping eating fat, and that could cause you some discomfort in the short term. But in the long term, it will cause you to lose weight and have superior health. Nita. Is the weekly Fabulous Over 40 plan I've signed up for the same plan layout as the Ultimate Weight Loss plan you can sign up for on your website? Is it focused on weight loss? If not, how do they differ than the other payment plan? I ask because in your videos, it sounds like you would want us to focus on vegetables and fruits for the 21 days during the UWL, yet one of the recipes is the cram muffins. Thank you. I enjoy your YouTube channel. Thank you for the compliment. So, the dietary style I teach, regardless of what the program or the class is called, it's not going to change. It's never not been vegan, and I can't imagine it changing. It's at least where weight loss is concerned. There are times in my life where I'm called upon, like on the cruise or at Rancho La Puerta as a chef, where you will see me using ingredients that I personally don't eat, but I would never be teaching that to people especially that are paying me. Because they're not paying me at those places that I just mentioned. So UWL is $149. If you sign up for a year here, it's $147. So it's basically $2 difference. The dietary style is the same. The way the content is being delivered is different. The UWL is basically we deliver 8 hours, I believe it's 8 to 12 hours of pre-recorded content of a seminar and of group phone calls, coaching calls that people listen to. And then if they're in the Facebook group, I answer questions. But when I answer questions, it's not like this. It's not a long thought out answer, it's one sentence because that's all I can type in a format like that. And I often miss things because of the way it's structured. Here we have created a membership website, which is ongoing, and it's different because we are adding content every week. I don't do that in Ultimate Weight Loss. I haven't added any content since it started 5 years ago. I don't do these weekly live Q&As. I don't interview Dr. Lyle monthly. These Q&As are not weekly. The monthly Q&A, there's weekly interactions. They're not all going to be live and they're not all going to be Q&As. There's going to be some cooking and some experts. So there is a lot more, it's more content rich and it's organized, and I think in a very beautiful way with recipes and meal plans and just accountability partners. So the only way I could really explain to you is there are people that are in both groups, and they could maybe on the Facebook group kind of, because I don't want you to think this is just me saying it. Ask them on the group what they see the difference is. This has just got a lot more bells and whistles. And it's actually $2 less now that I think about it. If you join for the year, if you join monthly, it's less. As far as the cram muffins are something that I consider as a second breakfast, or as it can be used as a dessert. If any food is triggering for you, if it causes you to overeat or to binge or to crave other things, leave it out. The meal plans are not, these are recommended meal plans. They're suggested. They are not mandatory. And I think what I need to do is, in the interest of time, just do a video by myself and then put it on the Member Center about really what to eat and how. The cram muffins it's basically oatmeal. I mean, if you look at the ingredients, it's a banana and it's an apple and it's oats and it's a carrot. It's really the same recipe as my overnight oats, except that it's baked. So if that doesn't work for you, don't do it. But I would give this, any recipe I would give here, I would give there. There's no, as far as the dietary style, everything's the same. I can assure you that. It's the way the content is delivered. There is more content here. There's a whole website. There's no website for UWL. It's a Facebook page. So I hope that answers the question. And if any of these questions are not to your satisfaction, just ask again, please. Also, one favor though, next week is our first live Q&A with Dr. Lyle. He's a little different than me. I tend to be able to answer lots of questions. He kind of sometimes maybe will take one for the whole hour. If you're using the form to ask questions, it should be pretty obvious when it's Dr. Lyle, but maybe it won't be to me if it's, so, please say question for Dr. Lyle, okay? Because sometimes the categories, like people were using nutrient density, asking tech questions. So also please look at the category. But if the question is, and I'm hoping to get Dr. Goldhammer as one of the extras, please, but don't send any questions for Goldhammer now, it's not confirmed. But we know that next week at 5 o'clock, we're doing a live Q&A with Dr. Lyle, and hopefully he'll do it every month. Please say Dr. Lyle or DDL. His nickname is DDL, Dr. Doug Lyle, just so I know, and that I won't try to answer it myself. Okay. Oh, it was green beans. Good. If I have a lot of weight to lose, then don't worry about it. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to come back to this question just because it just came in. That's cool that this works so quickly like that though. What's your thoughts on microbiome testing? This is a question from Linda. A friend just sent me a video and explaining that what foods are good for you. It shares, okay, everybody's microbiome is unique. So I don't have foods. Okay, this is great. This is a perfect example, Linda, for you to please send this question in again with DDL on it, because believe it or not, he answered this question. When we did the 6-week course called Escaping the Pleasure Trap, this came up. And the thing is there's no way for me to search. I would literally have to listen to 14 hours to find it. I don't want to speak on his behalf, but one of the things he says a lot is people are looking for health in all the wrong places. And especially if you don't have any food sensitivities, why go looking? Why go looking and have a colonoscopy and a mammogram? Dr. McDougall has lots of lectures about why to avoid doctors. Because let me tell you, I don't want to waste your time right now, but I'll give you a story another time about why it's not always good to know everything. If you go to the doctor, they will find something. The thing is I'm not saying the microbiome is nothing, but I'm also saying that I don't think it's everything that they're saying it is, at least to the degree the science has evolved so far. We get people that come to me that have had every allergy test in the world, and they've had it from a natural, not that there's anything wrong with naturopaths, but There's different types of allergy tests, and even the ones that the immunologist, the MD, gives with the scratch. These are so unreliable. There are people that come to me with what they're allergic to. And by the way, it's a range from 0 to 5. And if they literally believe this test, they would have absolutely nothing to eat ever. The best immunologist I ever had, very well-known one at UCLA who unfortunately died, Dr. Sheldon Spector, you could probably find some of his articles in the medical research, used to say that no matter what I do, it doesn't matter. And by that he meant, obviously, if you have an anaphylactic reaction to peanuts, no, don't go eat peanuts. He wasn't saying that. But what he was saying is the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And so the best way to test this is with an elimination diet if you're having sensitivities. The best elimination diet is eating nothing. It's going to True North. And then when you refeed, they help you. I mean, if this test isn't expensive and just for fun you want to do it, but my concern is that now you're going to eliminate foods that are really healthy that are maybe aren't necessary. So please re-ask this question again, and for sure to Dr. Lyle, and if Dr. Goldhammer comes on, we'll ask it again. And if we have a GI doctor here, we can ask them again. So I'm not saying it's nothing, but I'm saying, why go looking? If you're not having any problems, don't go look for them. That's what I would say. Okay. Jean, how do you handle after dinner, before bed food cravings? I will find that I'm good all day, even with dinner, but after dinner I crave something sweet. I've made frozen bananas, but I tend to want too many frozen bananas. So first of all, why don't you switch to frozen berries instead of bananas, because they're half as calorically dense, they're lower glycemic, but they're still really sweet and delicious. People can really overdo bananas, which are double the caloric density of berries and very high in sugar and low in water. You say, okay, one of the things I want to correct here, Jean, is your vocabulary, because I was a speech communication major. I find that I'm good all day. We have to get away from using those kind of words, good, because if you are good when you eat a certain way, then that means when you don't, you're bad. And then if you are bad, if you eat incorrectly, then you're a bad person. So I like to say you're compliant or non-compliant. You're not good or bad. You're not good if you eat kale. You're not bad if you eat something not on plant. You're either compliant or non-compliant. And there's less of an emotional charge, and you don't beat yourself up about that. Now, one of the reasons people have a lot of cravings and want to eat after dinner is because they haven't truly eaten enough starch in the day, because they're still from the mindset that less is more, and that starch has 4 times as, there's 400 calories in a pound of potatoes. So maybe I should just eat salad. It's 100 calories a pound. And then I'll feel full maybe mechanically, but I won't be satisfied. So a lot of times cravings are because we just didn't eat enough calories, particularly from starch during the day. But there's another thing at play, and it's called the conditioned cram circuit. And this is something that Dr. Lyle has talked about extensively at the Live Ultimate Weight Loss conferences. And you can find 2 interviews with him where he talks about this. One is on Dr. McDougall's website, and one is on my YouTube page. I would definitely read that and just, watch those videos. I think you could find them very helpful. But you can also do techniques like distract yourself. You make sure that all the non-compliant food is out of your house, so that if you do feel like you have to eat something after dinner, then it's, salad or carrots or something like that. This is when you take your dog for a walk, or take a bubble bath, or do the yoga routine that we posted. I actually taped one last night for you guys, the one I do at night. And you can distract yourself. This is when you go on Facebook, and this is when you talk to your accountability partner. But this conditioned cram is something that it's a conditioned learning, and it can be unlearned. But Dr. Lyle talks about how if there's any rich food in your environment, you're just going to be cramming it, and if the rich food is off limits, meaning like your husband keeps bread and peanut butter in the house and it's off limits for you, maybe it's even locked up, your brain knows it's there, and you're just going to keep eating it because your brain knows that there's calories in the environment. So this is something that in a lot of ways is a habit, and people have been able to break themselves of the habit. Watch that video, please, or both of them, about the conditioned cram. But this is pretty normal. And if too many frozen bananas are a problem, then don't have any bananas in your house for a while, okay? And, again, eat vegetables. If you're not hungry enough to eat vegetables, you're not hungry. You're eating for other reasons. Maybe you're angry, lonely, tired, bored, stressed, anxious, depressed. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you need to go to bed. Night eating is a big thing, and it's not good for your health. It's not good for your GI system, and it's certainly not good for weight loss, because at Northwestern University, they did research saying that it's not calories in, calories out, but calories eaten after dinner will be stored as fat. So it's probably the worst time to eat excess calories if you're going to eat excess calories, because you're just not going to burn them off. Kathy says, Ari, recipes for banana muffin and oatmeal cookies, is it 8 bananas or 4? I don't know. My book is probably wrong, but yet we went to a meetup here in Cathedral City and she followed the recipe exactly and it was perfect. I need to make the recipe again. My bananas have not ripened. I promise you, I'm going to do this. This might be something good to do when we do the live cooking thing. I will fix that, and I apologize. Val, what do I feed Bailey? I have a 2-year-old Cocker Spaniel. Okay, so she's not vegan. I've never had a vegan dog because all my dogs were adopted usually at age 1 or older. Bailey was 4 when I got her. She did not take to the vegan diet, but she eats a lot of vegan food. She eats steamed carrots, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes. She eats brown rice, organic brown rice. She eats V-Dog, which is a vegan kibble, but I supplement it with 3 ounces of chicken a day, 1.5 ounce at each meal. And I feel bad about it as an ethical vegan, and it comes in a little pouch so I can try to disassociate the fact that it was a bird, but I have tried to get her to be full-on vegan, and she's gone up to 3 days without eating. And it's tough because I didn't raise her, and I've never raised any of my dogs. So that's what I feed her. Okay, and she's not very food motivated, though. It's like she doesn't seem to care that much, other than she won't eat a full-on vegan diet, but she'll eat a lot of healthy vegan food. Okay. All right, Desiree, that's a song. Did you know that? Desiree mucho. I love that song. Am I concerned about EMFs with the Breville Smart Oven Air Fryer? I'm close to buying it, but holding off because of EMFs. Well, Desiree, I'm not concerned because up until I got this question, I didn't even know what an EMF was. I looked it up. It's electromagnetic field. I Googled around and I could not find anything about the Breville and EMFs. I couldn't really find very much about them in general. I went to the World Health Organization website. I went to, what is it called? I wrote down this, spacesafeprotection.com. And I know that they said something like microwaves could do it, but you see, I find that this is really majoring in minor things. I don't worry about these kind of things like, for example, I mean, it's not that I don't worry about cookware. I don't use anything that was chipped. I don't use a cast iron one, but like people are always criticizing me on YouTube because I'm using a coated pan. And I just got a stainless steel one though. I'm going to start using, in the demos. People just are like, just go crazy about that stuff. I think that almost all the problems are not caused by the pan or the equipment, but the food. And because I have had an A+ diet for so long now, I don't worry about these little things that everybody's worried about, DHA and all this stuff. I don't. If you're worried about it, don't get it. You could write Breville. I mean, I would hope they would be honest with you, but I would go to nutritionfacts.org. Actually, I did. I couldn't find anything about EMFs. So I don't understand why that would be worse than the Breville air fryer is just an oven. So if that caused a problem, wouldn't your oven cause a problem? So this is not my area of expertise. Maybe Dr. Greger could address this on one of his lives, but it's really not something that I've ever thought about, heard about, or worry about. Laura says, this week's meal plan has 4 meals. Are we to eat the same for 4 to 7 days? No. So maybe meal plan is not the best word for what we're doing because we don't tell you what to eat. We don't tell you when to eat. We don't tell you how much to eat. We tell you what to eat. And so these are just suggested recipes for you to try. A couple of them are entrees. A couple of them, I think this week it had 2 entrees, a vegetable, and a second breakfast. If I'm not mistaken, the second breakfast could be considered a dessert as well. If you're not familiar with me, then you might not have tried any of my recipes. So I'm trying to give you the really, really tasty ones first. And so you don't have to eat the same thing every day. Those 4 recipes are probably not going to be enough to carry you for a week. Would you really want me to give you 7 distinct lunches, breakfasts, and dinners, and you would have to cook 21 meals? I think it's difficult enough to segue into this way of eating if you've been eating differently than to have to cook all those meals. That's why Mama Says is an option. Most of the people that I've worked with that have had success eat very simply. In fact, most people I know Like even Dr. McDougall and his wife Mary eat simply. They never had to lose weight, but he'll tell you, and he's said this on many of his talks, is that they eat the same thing every day for breakfast. In his case, it's oatmeal and fruit. Mary puts a teaspoon of brown sugar on. He doesn't. They eat the same breakfast every day. Most people do. Whether they eat something healthy like vegetables or an egg McMuffin, most people aren't eating 30 different breakfasts a month. If you're the exception, let me know, because I'd love to interview. But that's what research shows, is that most families find 4 to 5 meals that they like, and they repeat them over and over. So lunch is generally leftovers from last night's dinner, and dinner is dinner. And you can still have variety by varying the type of whole grain in a meal. If you're doing like a Buddha bowl, by varying the type of bean, there's 18,000 different kinds of legumes. By varying the type of sauce, if you make yummy sauce, there's probably 20 variations that I could think of just in a couple of seconds. So you don't have to eat the same thing every day, but if you, Dr. McDougall said you can eat sweet potatoes and broccoli every day and be really healthy. And I do eat sweet potatoes and broccoli pretty much every day, because it's my favorite meal, and the sweet potato is the Hannah yam. So I never get sick of it because I love it. But if you're somebody that needs a lot of variety, then you are welcome to make more recipes. You're not going to like probably every recipe I have. So, my question is what are you guys eating now? Those of you that are complaining about the meal plans, what are you eating now? I want to know. Do you eat 7 different breakfasts every day, 7 different lunches, and 7 different dinners? If so, then there's enough recipes in my book to do that. We just don't have them in the kind of format that we're doing with the meal plans, where we have this little shopping that you can take and have. What I like about this is that for myself, my cookbook is on a stand and it's getting all splattered. This is really cool because I can print it out and I can use this, and I really like this system. So you don't have to eat the same thing for 4 to 7 days, but you could, as long as you're eating the right foods: fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes. Most of us eat very simply. We eat a grain, or we eat some kind of starch like a grain, a bean, or a potato, and a vegetable, and fruit for dessert. And we don't really eat very many recipes. Some of the very successful people on this program say stop chasing recipes. The problem that people have with not being able to lose weight is not because of the lack of recipes. I have the Forks Over Knives meal planner because I wanted to support them. They're my friends. And I have made now 4 of their recipes in a year. 4. And it doesn't mean that their recipes aren't good, but I don't have that kind of time to sit there and make recipes. I just eat food. Tonight, for example, I don't know what time I'm going to get done, but I can tell you what I'm going to have for dinner because I know I'm going to be hungry, and I didn't have a chance to cook anything because I was prepping for this all day. I read the questions over and I did some little research. I'm going to take a bag of organic jasmine frozen rice from Trader Joe's and microwave it. It's going to take exactly 3 minutes. I'm going to take a bag of organic broccoli from Trader Joe's and microwave it in my Pampered Chef micro steamer, and that's going to take 4 minutes. And that 7 minutes while it's cooking, I'll be preparing Bailey's dinner, and I'll be taking about 2 or 4 scallions and cutting them up. And when the broccoli and the rice are ready, I'm going to mix it together with the scallions and use one of my favorite sauces, which is the curry balsamic vinegar for California balsamic. And it's delicious, and it tastes like better than a restaurant. So that's kind of how I eat. I batch cook large trays of potatoes and sweet potatoes, and I put them in the refrigerator, and then I often cut them into fries and air fry them, or in the case of sweet potatoes, I don't mind eating them cold. So that's how I roll. I've got lots of videos on YouTube showing you how I batch cook, how I eat for the day, how I prep for the week. So I'd like to know what you're doing now, and then I would say do that, but with these recipes. Okay. All right. Peggy says, what does unfortified nutritional yeast mean? I found the MAL brand that is unfortified, but it still has 70% folic acid. I don't know of a brand called MAL. There's a brand called KAL. And if it's unfortified, it can't have folic acid. The whole idea of fortifying it is to give people these vitamins like folic acid. The medical doctors say that fortified nutritional yeast is not health promoting, that we shouldn't be having these vitamins in isolation that way. Unfortified nutritional yeast, the brand that I like, there's a Amazon store where I try to put all my favorite things that I use all the time. I like the Sari, S-A-R, or Sari brand as far as taste is concerned. That's the one I like. The KAL is fine. I get that at Mother's. It's just side-by-side taste comparison doesn't taste very good. So it can't, if it's unfortified, it can't have folic acid. That's the whole purpose of fortifying, is to put in the folic acid. So with nutritional yeast, it's a very high calorie food. Some people use a lot of it in every day and can't eat vegetables without it. It's really more of a seasoning and a sprinkle. Dr. Goldhammer does not allow it at all at True North. He doesn't allow the chefs to use it, the patients to eat it. He says it's just not good. It's highly processed. It's high calorie. It's like people with GI stuff, it shouldn't be used. I am sort of like, if it's going to help you not eat cheese in the interim, use it. I use it in very few recipes now, I think 5 at the most, and in most of them it's optional. The only one it's not optional in is the barefoot dressing, because it just, that one didn't fly without it. But you definitely want to look for an unfortified brand, at least according to Dr. Furman. Okay. Frederica, how do I make air rutabaga fries? Do I put the California balsamic on before they go in the oven or after, and what temperature, how long? I can't find the video. Well, I don't think there was an actual video. Maybe in the 14-day to Fabulous video series, I think I might have shown you that they were in the air fryer. I don't think I actually made a video on that. And by the way, even if you only are doing a 2-week trial, you get to keep those videos forever. So as our gift to you for thank you for signing up. I think what I'll do, Frederica, is when I do the cooking demo, I'll make that as part of it, because I don't think I showed it. I can't remember, but I'll show it again. And I don't put any vinegar on my fries. I mean, I sometimes use vinegar as a dipping sauce afterwards, especially the sweet heat or the blazing habanero. What I do put vinegar on, and it's usually vinegar and mustard in the air fryer, or things like Brussels sprouts or broccoli or cauliflower, butternut squash cubes, but I don't put them on my air fries. So I am going to make myself a note, and that's going to be something I'm going to show and in the cooking segment, okay? And rutabaga is really delicious, by the way. Even people that don't like turnips like rutabaga, and when they're made into air fries, they taste just like Yukon Gold fries, but with like half the caloric density. They're amazing. Okay, Joy says, I'd like to, this is a, you know, the Facebook group, Secret to Private, I got nothing to do with Facebook. You know, pretty soon I'm going to be off Facebook completely, off. It's like my dream and goal in life. I can't take it. I hate it. I've never liked it. If you know anything about me, I don't even have a friend page. And I cannot stand it when friends call me. I'm going to say, you didn't say anything, like about what? Oh, my mom died. It's like, well, how was I going to know? Oh, I put it on Facebook. I'm like, well, I'm not on Facebook. I have a professional page and I'm still in my group, but it's wearing me down. So I don't know anything about Secret to Private. If it's in a certain way, there's probably a reason for it, but please discuss that with the admins. Hello at Better Life Summits. Yeah, again, the number one, I don't know. I would try that again with the accountability partner. So I can't. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to these questions that you're asking, Joy, so please contact Toby at hello at Better Life Summits, all right? Thank you. Okay, and I think you'll find somebody. Marty, where do I find the recipe for cauliflower gravy? That's going to be in your 14-day series. Whether you stay with us or not, if you go to the Member Center, it's on the page. And if you don't stay with us, then at some point, that's going to be the only thing on your page. And you'll always own that for life. And that is... that's in there. I'm sorry, I don't know what day of the 14 days it is, but it's the only gravy recipe. Nadia, can you please tell me what you think about chestnuts? Sure, I think they're delicious, and therefore I don't buy them. You know, they are much lower in caloric density than nuts. They're about, I think about a third the caloric density of nuts. So, you know, the Esselstyns will use them. The problem is that, you know, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck, and it's still a nut. And for my food addicted brain, I cannot moderate my use of them. They're hand-to-mouth food, by the way, never good for us food addicts. That's why grapes, popcorn, none of those foods are good for us. If you got to eat those, use chopsticks. So I'll have them occasionally. You know, my concern is they can only be eaten roasted. And to me, while many foods taste better cooked, for example, sweet potatoes, you can eat grated raw sweet potato, grated raw butternut squash. It's on the Whole Foods salad bar, but you can't eat a raw chestnut. So I kind of have concern for foods that you have, you know, I wonder, what did nature intend? If you absolutely have to roast them to eat them, then are we supposed to be eating them? much better than eating any other nut, like I said, because of the less fat, less caloric density. If you can moderate your use of them, go ahead. I think they're great. I think they're absolutely delicious, especially around the holidays, but they don't work for me because it's just, then I start thinking about pistachios and macadamia nuts and pine nuts and all the recipes I used to eat. So, but I think they're healthy. They're still more calorically dense than starches. So depends what your goals are. Okay. I think we're flying through these. Okay. Julie says, can any of the dessert recipes, banana, she writes team pie. It is a team pie. You need a whole team to eat it. Air fry apple pie be frozen? I don't know, because I'm not a fan of freezing food. You might have heard me tell this story before, but we went to my mom's house for dinner 6 months after I got married, my husband and his best friend. And my mom's a great cook, and she served this meal that was the most disgusting thing I ever ate. And I said, where'd you get the food from? And she said, Vegetable Delight. And that's where I had my rehearsal dinner. And I said, it was my rehearsal dinner. She froze and served it to us 6 months later. And after that, I had just like trauma when it comes to frozen foods. Now, there's certain things that of course I eat frozen fruit, frozen vegetables, but I just think you lose things in freezing. The only recipe that I can 100% say to me tastes as good frozen as it did first time around are the bean burgers and the beanless burgers. Everything else is sort of meh to me. So not a big fan of freezing. Haven't frozen the cauliflower bisque yet. My neighbor says it freezes great. Going to give that a try. But I can't imagine that those recipes I can't imagine the banana cream pie freezing good at all. I think that would not work. The apple pie maybe, but I think you're going to lose something. And they don't make that much. So, or maybe cut the recipe in half rather than freeze it. That's my advice. Sherry or Cherie says, she saw me making something with an envy apple. Can't find it. Yeah, it's very possible. Where I live in California, they're everywhere. They're at Trader Joe's, Sprouts, Whole Foods, Costco, and the regular store, like Ralph's. It's just, an envy it's a cross between a gala and something else. It's just a really, really sweet, yummy apple. Once you have an envy, it's hard to eat all the other apples. But the idea is just to eat the sweetest apple, use the sweetest apple, because if I'm using an envy, it's in a dessert recipe. With the exception of in the millet salad, I use a green apple, but that's not a dessert. Penny says, where are the recipes from the 14-day course? Those are the videos. Remember, it's going to be video only. It's in the Members Center under your page, which hopefully you've created. Linda says, my husband cannot eat red bell peppers, red, green, yellow, doesn't matter what color they are. There's really no substitute in my recipes. I don't think I use bell peppers a lot. I'm trying to think. They're in the bean burgers. Leave them out. Leave them out. I'm trying to think what else I've used. They're not in a lot of my recipes. I think they're in the cauliflower sweet potato stack and in one of my cheese sauces. And maybe in the ratatouille. You got to leave it out. I Googled it. There was no substitute for bell pepper. Yeah, if you're looking just for crunch, the website suggested celery, but there is no substitute. It's unfortunate he can't eat any of the colors. Often people that can't eat the green ones, it's because they're unripe, can eat the red, yellow, and orange, but if he can't, he can't. So when in doubt, leave it out. And, luckily that's not something that I base a lot of my recipes on. Is onion and garlic would be really, really difficult. And I know I think there's a question, somebody that can't have tomatoes. That is very challenging. Linda says, what do you think of leaf-side plant-based meals? Dr. Clapper and Greger have endorsed them. So I love Dr. Clapper and Greger, but just because they've endorsed them doesn't mean that I'm going to recommend them for somebody trying to lose weight, because I looked up their meals on their website, and the first one that I clicked on was 570 calories, which is perfectly fine for a meal, and it had 28 grams of fat. And the next one I clicked on was 690 calories for one meal, one serving, 35 grams of fat. So, these are gentlemen that have never been overweight. They're not female, and they possibly don't understand the work of Dr. Oliveira and maybe Dr. McDougall about the fat you eat is the fat you wear, especially if you're a female that's been overweight. So I don't know if your goal is, when you ask me what do I think of them, do I think of them as affordable, as healthy, as weight loss foods? I haven't tasted them, so I can't tell you what they taste like. They do have sea salt and miso in every recipe. And I'm surprised because those doctors I didn't think we're promoters of salt. I did see an option where you can request them SOS free, so that would be better. The price looked about $7.99. That sounds a little high. I would encourage you, if you're looking for a way to not make your own food, that you would consider Mama Says, the SOS free bundle. The price point seems to be lower than Leafside, and it's guaranteed SOS free. So is it a better choice than going to McDonald's? Sure. I can't talk about something I've never tried, but I can tell you from what I've seen on their website, I can't endorse it because everything has salt and it's very high fat, but they might be wonderful people and they might be delicious food. But if you're trying to lose weight, eating a serving of food with 35 grams of fat is probably not going to facilitate that goal. Okay, and Mary is having trouble setting up her thing. You got to talk to Toby about that time. Hopefully you're in now. Marilyn's disappointed in the weekly meal plan. Thought 1 week plan would have 7 different days of menus. So again, I apologize if that was your expectation, and that's why we offered a 2-week trial, because if it doesn't work for you, we understand. That's not what we ever intended on creating. I think if you familiarize yourself more with my work, with what has worked for weight loss and food addiction, you will understand that variety is the kiss of death for the food addict. It may be the spice of life, but it's also the spice of obesity. And so that is why we're not giving you unlimited variety. We give you unlimited portions, which is probably better than unlimited variety. I'm one person. How many black bean burgers in 1 week should one enjoy to lose weight? Again, I don't know. I don't know how tall you are. I don't know how much you weigh. I don't know what your basal metabolic rate is. I don't know what your age is. I don't know how active you are. I don't know how hungry you are. Please watch the video on weighing and measuring your food. I can't answer that. I can tell you how many I eat. I eat 3. That's what I eat, but that, we're different ages, weights, activity level. I spin for about an hour every day. So I'm sorry, if you're looking to be told what to do, this may not be the system that's going to work for you. This system works, but we're not going to tell you what to do. I mean, if most, I've had people come here that said they could never lose weight, and we've done this a few times, and they ate what I ate, and they all lost weight. And it's funny because I had a training here with 4 people for my educator's course, and I was feeding them rich food, not rich food, but the jam bars, and they were all like, oh, and they all went home and lost weight, and they weren't here to lose weight. And you can't not lose weight on this food if you're eating it correctly, and not adding sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt, those kind of things, having restaurant food sneak in. But I can't tell you how much to eat because I don't know how hungry you are. I mean, I can't tell you how much to pee. I can't tell you how much to breathe. You have to get in touch with your own hunger signals. If you do that, you can never be overweight. But if you've eaten the wrong foods your whole life, animal products and processed food with their lack of fiber, you couldn't possibly get in touch with your innate hunger signals because processed food and animal products bypass the normal mechanisms of satiation. So I'm sorry, I can't help you with that, and that you're disappointed, but it's not going to be the right plan for everybody, but I hope you would still consider giving it a try for the 2 weeks that you're here. Sarah, can you please help me clarify how a day of eating would roughly look? I have read the book and I'm trying to find the info on the site. So confirm that I think is the following. Eat from the right-hand side of the chart. That's the exact opposite. You want to eat from the left-hand side to the chart. You want to eat to the left of the red line. Eat breakfast. Start with 1 pound of non-starchy vegetables, and if hungry, eat something from the second breakfast recipes. Absolutely. So yes, you want to start every day with at least a pound of non-starchy vegetables. And I say at least, I often eat 2, but at least a pound. And then when hunger returns, which it will, maybe immediately, like in 5 minutes, maybe in 20 minutes, maybe in an hour or 2, you can eat from the second breakfast category, or you can just eat more veggies and starch. You can eat some rice and beans with some broccoli. It just depends how hungry you are, but it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be that rigid and go to second breakfast. Second breakfast can be just plain oatmeal or oatmeal and fruit or a leftover sweet potato. But when you said eat from the right-hand side of the chart, that's incorrect. It's the left-hand side. Lunch or dinner, eat from the left line. It's to the left of the red line, and I can eat starch. However, is there a limit to how much? How much of the starch, rice and beans, etc.? So the limit is until you're comfortably full, but after you've eaten a significant amount of vegetables. Remember I said at the very beginning of this interaction when we were talking about the McDougall program is half your plate visually has to be, at least half your plate visually has to be non-starchy vegetables at every meal. I recommend people eat them before and then also with their meal because it's the only way I can ensure that you're getting enough vegetables. If you go right to starch, if you're not trying to lose weight, just eat starch. People, especially men, can just eat potatoes and lose weight. But if you don't have any vegetables to lower the overall caloric density of your meals, and also I don't feel you'll be healthy if you don't eat vegetables, it's possible to eat so much starch, not that you will gain weight, but it's possible to eat so much starch that you will not lose weight. That's the worst that can happen on this plant, is that you won't lose weight. It's impossible to gain weight eating at a caloric density to the left of the red line, unless you're sneaking in salt or restaurant food, that kind of thing. So the idea is to eat as many vegetables, salad, start with a huge salad, a big serving of greens, get that tank partially full so that you can enjoy a reasonable portion of starch and then still lose weight. But I can't tell you how much because, again, I don't know your age, your weight, your height, your BMR, your activity level. I don't know how hungry you are. You eat until you're comfortably full. Comfortably full means that, I probably could eat a little bit more, but, if I just wait for like 20 minutes, my brain will probably catch up with the fact that I'm full. And again, you're hungry by what you're willing to eat. If you have to have a particular food, it's probably food cravings, food addiction. True hunger can be satisfied by eating any whole natural food. Appetite cravings can only be satisfied by eating a particular food. But you won't gain weight if you only ate starch. But it is possible to eat so much starch relative to the amount of vegetables that you won't lose. Eat when hungry, but leave a gap between dinner and going to bed. What would a snack be? Well, I don't recommend snacking because why are you snacking? Did you not eat enough at mealtime? So, who is it, Hans Diels, that says the more you snack, the bigger your slacks or something like that? A snack would be vegetables, raw sugar snap peas. That could probably be a snack. But I don't think we should be snacking. I think we should be eating enough at meal times that we don't need to snack. And Dr. Furman talks about the catabolic phase versus the anabolic phase, and that we need to spend more time not eating and digesting to have longer periods. But definitely, I say 5 hours between eating and bed, 3 at a minimum. No smoothies. Is this for fruit smoothies? I can see a recipe for vegetable smoothie. Sorry for all the questions. I just want to check what to do, confused over how much starch you can eat. I could refer you to a video by Dr. Lyle about how carbs do not make you fat, but you can eat as much starch as you want. If you find you're not losing weight, then you have to change the relative amount of vegetables versus starch. But make sure every plate of food you have is at least 50% vegetables, if not more, maybe 75, and eat your vegetables before you eat your starch and eat your vegetables with your starch so that you'll have to eat less starch but still have enough to be satisfied. Yes, you can have what's called a blended salad. This is especially good for people that are on the go and that have to maybe have a long commute and don't have time to sit there and eat a salad or cook vegetables. I think it's episode 72 of Weight Loss Wednesday where I demonstrate it. Maybe it's not, but you could just Google salad smoothie. And I do mine. I do spinach, tomato, cucumber, and either zucchini or bell pepper. They're very refreshing. You can put a little bit of lime or lemon juice in, or a little bit of barefoot dressing or not, but it's basically like a gazpacho soup. So yeah, if you're going to blend it, we recommend it vegetables and not fruit. I also recommend, if you're a food addict, and especially if you struggle with sugar addiction, start your day in a savory way. Do not eat oatmeal and fruit for breakfast. Do not be eating those jam bars unless it's your birthday. Eat savory breakfast. Delay that sweet taste until as late in the day as possible, maybe like for some fruit after dinner or some fruit in your salad. Okay. All right. Sonia, is there a problem if I use salt for the recipes? I'm training for an ultra marathon in November and don't think sodium consumption is a bad idea. I lost 29 pounds since January, but I've already gained back 5. I'd like to be as light as my race as possible. So, I just watched a video today, or it was a summit, I can't remember, but it was Dr. Furman being interviewed. And he said that eating as little as an additional 600 milligrams of sodium a day is enough to put you into an inflammatory state. A teaspoon of salt has 2,300 milligrams of sodium. And so 600 milligrams would be a quarter teaspoon, and that's not very much. And most people are using way more than that. So, salt is an appetite stimulant. It encourages what's called passive overconsumption of food, women especially will consume about 11% more calories, and this, by the way, you can find in the medical literature, of food when they eat salt, and that's usually from fat. So I don't recommend it for weight loss. It can be a trigger for some, and it's an appetite stimulant. If you need a certain amount of sodium because you're training, blend celery, blend it, not juice it, make ice cubes, and put that in your water bottle. And then, have that, you need sodium, you don't need salt. So I can't recommend it, because at least where weight loss is concerned, I don't see it. You say you don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a good one. And we'll have probably doctors on these interactions that will concur, and there's probably doctors that won't, but at least where weight loss and food addiction is concerned, I've never really seen it to be something that has helped somebody lose weight. Some people can lose weight with it, but when you don't include it, it's a lot easier, because that's also because you neuroadapt to food, and you don't need as much food when you don't salt it. Debbie says, where do you buy the sodium and aluminum-free baking powder and baking soda? Here we get it at stores like Clark Nutrition. Some of the Whole Foods have it. You can get it online at Amazon. I believe the brand is Energy, ENER-G. I'm going to be honest, unless you're making an actual cake, which none of those recipes will appear in the recipes you guys get, I leave it out most of the time. I just don't have it, because in these vegan kind of baked goods, they don't really rise anyway. They're kind of dense. So it's actually okay if you leave it out. And that would be a case where I'd argue that a little bit amount of sodium is probably not that bad. I've seen the chefs at True North use the non-sodium free brand, but Goldhammer probably doesn't know. Jennifer says, can you tell me, same question. So yeah, exactly. Amazon, Energy, or leave it out. It will be fine without it. One exception. In the, you're not going to get this recipe because it's in my dessert book. But I'll tell you, the Cinnabons, that you need that baking soda with the apple cider vinegar, it won't rise. Doris says, I messed up your apple pie recipe. Post the video again. I don't need to post it again. Everybody that signed up for the free 2-week trial or beyond will always have those videos to watch as often as they want. Ginny, have you heard about Just Egg? It's a new product I read about, Veg News, made with mung beans. Is it worth trying? I don't know. I mean, I actually haven't heard about it, and I thought I subscribed to that magazine. I'm just, in general, not a fan of processed foods, and I'm sure it's probably, probably tasty. It wouldn't have made it to market, and I would, you know what? I gotta look that up, and I gotta answer that again, because I don't know. What are you gonna use it for? That's the other thing. Because if you want to use it for baking, for example, there's so many ways to bake without eggs already. The combination of apple cider vinegar and baking soda causes things to rise, and flax eggs, for example. If you're trying to use it in place of, say, scrambled eggs, things like tofu. But I should have really looked that one up, and I apologize. So let me look it up. But in general, I do try to avoid processed food, and just for kind of a variety of reasons. There's some exceptions. I do buy canned tomato products and beans, for convenience. And for my husband, he buys the plant milk. But what are you wanting to use it for? Maybe, and I do need to look up more about it. But if it's just made from mung beans, that sounds like there would be nothing wrong with it. I just don't know if it has anything else in it, like fat and salt. And I wish there was a way I can't look it up here, because I'll lose you here, and I can't look it up here. So I gotta look that up. Kimberly, for weight loss, is it best to not drink water with meals? I've heard it can make digestion harder. I don't know if it has any effect on weight loss, because what water does is when it's in the food, Dr. Rolls discovered that the feeling of fullness we get, called satiety, that tells us to stop eating, is not just based on the calories of the food, but the weight and the volume of the food. So water adds weight, and it adds volume. That's why soups can be so filling, but water also exits the digestive tract too quickly. So I don't know if there's any benefit in terms of weight loss drinking with meals. The benefit in weight loss is having food that has all of the water intact. So foods that aren't dehydrated, no animal products, no processed food, which have no water. I personally have never eaten and drank my whole life. We were raised not to do that. My father said it was not good. He said some doctor must have told him this, or he read it, that it dilutes the digestive enzymes, and that you should only drink before meals, about 20 to 30 minutes before, and then several hours after. So this would be a great question when we talk to a GI doctor, but I've never done it, and I've also too heard that it does impair digestion. Andrea, you mentioned you could help identify plant-based physicians in your area, Independence, Missouri. So I can help you only in that I can tell you where to look for it. So there's a website called plantbaseddocs.com, and I'm going to clarify this and tell one of the moderators where to post it. But I personally cannot help you in that city of Missouri. The only place I really know plant-based doctors are California, Florida, Nevada, Texas, New Jersey, Hawaii. That's about it. New York, of course I do. And other than that, I don't really know any. But there are some websites, and what I'll do is we'll post this somewhere really prominent in the member center, maybe even on Facebook. But you have to put in your zip code, and they'll tell you if there is one close to you. What I would also recommend is to consider having a plant-based doctor on your team to do consults with. Like I said, they're not that expensive. They're less than $100. Some of them are more. I think Dr. Clapper charges more now. When he was at True North, it was $95. But that's what I do, is I go to my regular doctor that my insurance pays, and then I go to my plant-based doctor and say, hey, was this right? Can you look at these tests? But I will get you, Andrea, that thing will be posted so you can look for yourself. So to find one, if there is one in your town. There may not be one in your town, but there may be one within a reasonable amount of places to go. Laura, how do we access the videos? It's once you create a login, you're referring to the 14 days. Once you have a login and you're a member, it's going to be there. It's going to be there forever, even if the paid content goes away if you choose to leave. Okay, Kathy says there are new recipes. The new recipes are the ones in the 14 days. So as I mentioned, this is not going to be your typical meal plan where we're giving you 21 new recipes a week. Nope, that's not what we're here for. I will try to create new recipes. They're very time consuming to create them to my standards, but the 14-day ones were really some of my best recipes that I thought about for a long time. It took a while to create. And so please realize that it is not the lack of new recipes that is causing you to be overweight if you're overweight or not be successful. If anything, that is what's keeping you stuck in the pleasure trap, always chasing these new recipes. Think about the concept called sensory-specific satiety that Dr. Rolls talks about. Anytime you introduce a new flavor or a new option at a meal, you're going to eat more. If you really want to trim down and stay trim, then limit variety. And every time we give you a new recipe, you're doing the exact opposite. So I can try to come up with recipes, especially ones that people are interested in, but this was not, if you thought this was like a meal plan program, this is not what it is. This is a membership website with lots of content, and the meals are one part of it, of course, but that's not going to be the whole focus of it. It's more like an educational platform than it is like a meal planner. If that's something you want, then I would really encourage you to try the Forks Over Knives meal planner. It's free for 2 weeks, and you'll get lots and lots of recipes. And there's a book I have right over there on the shelf, 1001 Vegan Recipes. I mean, how many recipes do you guys need? Find something you like, rinse and repeat. That is the secret, my friend. Anne says that she's on Warfarin, a blood thinner, must limit vitamin K foods, currently eating 1 cup broccoli and blood tests good. If I eat more, must increase drug, which I prefer not to do. Can I still be in this program while limiting greens? So while greens are very healthy and I recommend them, my question is I'm not a doctor, obviously, can you eat other vegetables? And if so, without having to adjust your medicine, then eat those vegetables. Eat the greens that you can, but can you eat zucchini, for example? Can you eat sugar snap peas? So if there are vegetables that you can eat that don't affect your medicine, then eat more of that. But I will tell you this, and I can't remember if it was Dr. Esselstyn or one of the other plant-based doctors that said this, but sorry, I'm just checking. That we don't want to adjust our food to our medicine. We want our medicine to adjust to our food. And so that if you work with a plant-based doctor, and they can make it so that you can eat the appropriate amount of greens and your medicine and still be safe. But I understand your concerns, so you don't want to muck around with that, but you want to get somebody that understands why we eat this way to make your dose of medicine so that you can eat the greens. And I wish I could remember which doctor said it and how he said it. But in the meantime, if there's vegetables that you can eat that will not affect it, eat those. If not, then you're just going to have to do what you can do safely for your own health. But I would advise talking to one of the plant-based doctors about this. Fortunately, this would not be Dr. Lyle's area of expertise, but if Dr. Goldhammer comes on, which I'm hoping, this is definitely something we can ask him. Alana says when she'll be approved in the Facebook group. Hopefully you're in. If not, hello at Better Life Summits. Sylvie says, I work after 4. Any replay? Absolutely. I'm going to say within 24 hours in case it, Toby's probably asleep now. Remember, he's 9 hours ahead, but it will definitely be there tomorrow at the latest. Lisa says, I'm just not able to going to be applying new appliance. I know all the recipes that you prepare in an Instant Pot can be prepared in a standard stainless steel pot. Absolutely. So obviously, if it's not that I would give you an air fryer recipe, but I actually did in the bonus section. You can't just take an air fryer recipe necessarily and adjust it as well if it's something that's going to be very crispy. But anything that's made in the Instant Pot was done so to make it quick and easy, so you didn't have to cut anything up. But you certainly can. I was recently visiting my mother-in-law, and they didn't have an Instant Pot, and I made the cauliflower bisque and just had to cut stuff up, and take a long time to boil it. But you certainly can make it in a slow cooker. It just is going to take 6 to 8 hours, or you can cut it up old school and make it like a soup. Absolutely, would be absolutely fine. It's just won't be as quick and easy. Jackie says, in some of the recipes call for tomatoes. What can you use instead? So again, the people that are trying to avoid nightshades, it's going to be tough. A tomato is such an integral part of, sauces and, barbecue sauce, ketchup, marinara. There are recipes. If you go to detoxinista.com, she has a recipe for a marinara sauce that uses beets and carrots. You want to omit the oil and the salt in her recipe. But as far as just tomatoes, I don't have a sub for tomatoes. I'm really sorry. I like the people that have to avoid nightshades. For example, eggplant is a nightshade. If you're looking just for the texture, you can do something like portobello mushroom. You won't get the same taste, but you can get the same texture for some of the recipes. I don't know a sub for tomatoes, especially if you're just using them like in salads or tomato sauce or tomato paste. But the combination of carrot and beet can sometimes fly in a sauce where there's lots of onion and garlics. But, I'm sorry about that. I don't know. If anybody, this would be a great question to ask in the Facebook group. Joyce says, my daughter is going through chemo for breast cancer. I'm sorry to hear that. For at least 2 days, she doesn't feel like eating anything. She plans to get some boost or other drink. What could I make her instead? They're not healthy. Not sure if greens would go down well either, like in a smoothie. Well, maybe just make her a fruit smoothie. Can she have like some sorbet, just fruit ice cream? There is something, and I saw it on Facebook, and I can't remember the name, but I remember when Dr. Furman had a patient that had to be fed through a feeding tube. He fed them like healthy things instead of what they normally do in the hospital. And he talked about this at one of the conferences, and actually the guy that recovered was there. And again, I don't know the name of this, but now there is a product that is, it was something like a mother with a daughter that had to be fed a certain way, and she developed a product that was like vegan and that would be a substitute. And if I can ever find it it was a Facebook ad. If I could ever find it again, I will tell it to you. But I would just give her what she can eat. Maybe she can't eat greens. Maybe she could have a fruit smoothie. Maybe she could have some banana ice cream, but that fake stuff that's just chemicals, I would just have her eat and drink whatever she can eat that's a whole natural food, and I'm sorry that she's going through that. Luana, how long does it take to approve to the group? Hopefully you're in that now. Gosh, I think, oh my God, so many questions. Guys, stop asking questions. I can't go more than 5 minutes. You guys will kill me. We've had a pretty good drop-off rate. So a few just came in just now, so I'll see if I can get through them. Okay. So Sherry says the dressing that I made with the envy apple. So I didn't actually make a dressing with an envy apple, but on one of my recent Weight Loss Wednesdays, I did a sweet and smoky dressing. It's on YouTube. And I used the envy apple in the salad. I think that's what you're thinking of. It was a sweet potato wild rice salad. So it's just within the last 2 months of YouTube, just put in sweet and smoky. I think that's what you're looking for. Okay. KN, what a cool name. Thank you for the Eat Up Slim Down video. Oh, and thank you for your thank you. I appreciate that. that she said it helped her. I'm assuming it's she, KM, could be a guy. It helped her understand the program. Please watch that video. I cannot pronounce your name. Fiona Guhoala. Hannah yams are not available where I live. I know you say orange sweet potatoes are mushier. Can they be used? Yes. Okay. You know what? One of the things I'm going to do, and I haven't decided if I'm going to do it for you guys for the cooking thing, or maybe I should just do it on YouTube because it's really important, is, oh gosh, thank you. Somebody just texted me an answer to one of my questions, and I'll read it in 1 second. Also, realize that Hannah yams are sometimes called white sweet potatoes and also sometimes called Jersey yams, and they're also available online. But yes, the sweet potatoes are interchangeable. They're just going to taste different. That's all. And I'm going to do, I think, a really in-depth video about how they taste different and what they look like. But you absolutely, especially in soups, you can substitute them. Okay. I have bad arthritis. I'm trying to eliminate nightshades. Dr. Gregor's recommended we eliminate rice due to arsenic. I do eat sweet potatoes, been eating a lot of barley. Yeah, I don't recommend glutinous grains. If you want to know why, if you go to my previous teleclasses, they're all on my YouTube page. When I interviewed Dr. Joan Iflin and Dr. Erwin Lisner, they talked about how the way that when you ingest casein, the dairy protein, it turns to casomorphin in the brain, which is like an opiate. Gluten turns to gluteomorphine, and it's for people that are suffering from food addiction. It's not that good. Oh, something just came into the newsroom. Yeah, I got that. Thanks. And so there's so many wonderful grains to eat without barley. So I can eat sweet potatoes. Do you have any suggestions? Sure. How about some beans? How about some winter squashes, guys? How about acorn, butternut, Hubbard, delicata, kabocha squash? These have a caloric density of like 300 calories per pound. They're delicious. How about wild rice, quinoa, millet? If you can't eat rice, there's a lot of yummy starches to eat if you're not eating rice. And you don't have to have barley. Have you ever worked with Boost? Have you or anyone you work with boost their immune system on your program? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Exercise also does help improve immune function. You need to eat this high nutrient way for more than three weeks though. Have you worked with anyone gotten off enzymes? And actually, I don't know the answer to that because I don't know what you mean by enzymes and antioxidant supplements. Okay. So let's see. Oh, good. It's slowing down here. I'm not going to turn the chat back on, guys, because I think 2 hours is long enough. Remember, we had a 6-minute glitch at the beginning where I couldn't get on. Did you guys see a green screen too? Not that you can answer me. So back to Lanny, who said she's not hungry at night, but she was forcing herself. She says, yes, I need to lose weight, fell off the bandwagon when I was at my ideal weight. Aha. Well, then you know what it's like to be at your ideal weight. Do what you did to get there again. Committed again, covering knee Peloton. Okay, yeah, I would not force yourself to eat when you're hungry. If you have weight on you now, then your body will eat that. Okay, I think that's it for the questions. And oh, I got a text. I love you and appreciate you. That was such a nice text. Okay, let's see. So I was talking about some formula, and okay, well, this is a vegan feeding tube formula, so maybe this is not going to be right for the gal that's recovering from cancer. I don't know if people would also drink that, but check it out just to see if they have, maybe they make something else for people like that. It's called Functional Formularies. Okay, functionalformulariesliquidhope.com, and I'll see if I can get you that link. Okay, nothing else has come in. Thank you so much. Give this some time. We're new, it's like when you open a restaurant, so give us some time. We're really doing the best we can. Toby will promise to get back to you. 9-hour difference, remember, 9-hour difference from Pacific time. We're going to have another live interaction next week. It will be our special guest, Dr. Doug Lyle. So if you can, try to keep the questions a little bit short for him, because it's those of you that know him know he could take a whole session to do one question. And please say DDL. That's his initials, so I know that the question's for him and not for me, because more come in for me. We will save them to the next one. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure. It's a privilege. It's an honor. I hope I answered all your questions. If I didn't answer them fully, write me again and I'll do some more research. I'll let you guys go now. It's time for me to eat broccoli and rice. Thank you so much and have a wonderful week.